Welcome to Real Geek Media. It is September 5th, 2024. I am Hayden Stoll. He is Christopher Michael Blake. We are back again with another review. This time we are going to talk Alien Romulus. Before we get into any of that, Christopher, what's new?
Hayden, I'm debating whether I jump Earth and join those two astronauts that are stuck in space from the Boeing flight.
Oh, God.
I actually believe that they're part of an alien experiment up there, and maybe they're being impregnated by the alien queen as we speak. And that's why they no longer fit in their clothes, and Elon Musk can't go up there and save them. I firmly believe this.
That's an interesting story.
Weyland-Yutani has definitely taken over the government.
That's definitely an interesting story. Some of the stuff you're seeing where they're picking up sonar, right? It's like, feels like a science fiction movie.
And we can't pick them up because they don't fit in their clothes.
Just go figure.
Don't worry about it. Just keep driving your hybrid. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, Christopher, what's new?
Nothing. That's another day. Another day. First day of school.
Yeah, first day of school over here too. Busy. It's been a long, busy day. But we're ready to talk some Alien. Now, are you a fan of the franchise at all?
I love the franchise, and for me, I was a little disappointed with this one. There were some jump scares in there. They had a lot of Easter eggs in there, a whole bunch of Easter eggs in there. I love the franchise, especially Aliens, Alien, even the Prometheus movies. I enjoyed those two. Alien 3, it's not terrible in my book. Alien 4, Ron Perlman and the whole space pirate thing. It's interesting to me. It's not bad. I mean, I don't think they need to bring Ripley back. I don't think that's the problem. It's not, and I really don't care. If you want to put her in like a quick little intro video or something, I don't have a problem with it. But I don't need to see her running around again.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of this franchise as well. We grew up with, Alien was, we were little kids when that came out, but Aliens is really kind of the wheelhouse for us. We were the right age for that. And that was like one of the movies that I would typically rotate in and out on the VHS. Aliens, Predator, Star Wars, those things got so much play in my VCR when I was a kid. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this franchise. Aliens, love those films. Alien 3, I dislike that movie with a passion. I do own the assembly cut, which is, to many people, a superior version of that film. It's a very bleak film. It's not my favorite, though. Resurrection had some interesting points. I do agree with you that Resurrection gets a lot of hate. The group was interesting. I thought the characters were interesting. The plot kind of, but this one, take away like Prometheus and Alien Covenant. This one seemed like, it's trying to reach back into the roots of Alien a little bit. There were things that were interesting. There were things that I didn't like. I thought the first two acts of the movie were solid.
We should just mention, Hayden, for those of you who have not seen Alien Romulus yet, there are spoilers in this podcast. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, please discontinue listening. Otherwise, let the mouth breathers talk.
The first two acts I enjoyed. The third act was not my favorite. What I did like, I enjoyed the start of the film. Well, before I get into the mining colony, we do need to talk about the very start of the film, which was a little head scratcher to me. We're talking the Nostromo wreckage, and I don't know how there is any wreckage that was not vaporized from the explosion in Alien. But apparently there's wreckage. And there's also the alien from that movie that got flushed out of the airlock that somehow is now survived, and this probe ship somehow pinpoints the exact location of it. I don't know. It's like right off the bat we're into that, and I'm like, huh?
I've read some of the forums online on this, but before I do, Hayden, do you know about the movie at the end of the year coming up next year?
Next year?
Yes.
Crimson Harvest.
Crimson Harvest is right now. It's on Indiegogo projects. Indiegogo projects. Crimson Harvest. It's a script. Killer Scarecrow. Going to start Felissa Rose, Xander Goldman. If you're looking for your opportunity to break into acting, you could go through the normal routine of hiring acting coaches, going through 4 or 5 years, studying, perfecting your art, trying to find an agent, hoping and praying that you work night jobs so your days are clear so you can keep going on casting calls, hoping that somebody's going to cast you in one of their films. Or you can sideswipe the next 5 or 6 years and get started now by securing your role in Crimson Harvest.
Check it out, everybody. It's cool. It's a very cool little experience. If you've not done an Indiegogo, you could be part of the film. You could contribute to the film, and it's. I definitely recommend you jump in and join this thing. It looks like a good time, and you're going to make a nice little movie out of it.
Hayden, is your business looking for an affordable way to gain and attract new clients?
Sure
Geek
is.
Media and Entertainment is now offering the Wayland-Yutani experience. We are offering sponsorships to fly you out to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, just so we can impregnate you with an alien queen and have them fight amongst each other so they can have acid for blood all over the station so they can escape. What's this going to cost you say? Hayden, we're back. We're off our summer special. We are no longer offering that $15. The Crazy Eddie special is now. We are back to our $30 special. So if your business is looking for an affordable way to gain new clients, consider running an advertisement through one of our podcast shows. You know that I was just talking, we're huge in Belgium. Huge.
Big in Belgium.
Oh, look, Hawaii, Brazil. This is international, folks. This podcast reaches the 4 corners of the of the planet,
and past the ice wall.
The United Federation of Planets. We're there. We're on the Boeing space plane. I mean, look, they're not stopping to pick up those guys because they're so enthralled with our podcast. Okay.
Are we on LV 426?
I can't answer that because that's an undisclosed location. It's a mining colony. I can't answer that at this point. But if you visit realgeekmedia.com, you click on the links or sponsor us, advertise with us, or donate here to get started, your advertisement can be secured here at the beginning of the show, just like we're advertising right now for Crimson Harvest. You could be here talking about your product to the hundreds
and hundreds
of eventual listeners. Again, that's www.realgeekmedia.com, realgeekmedia.com. Check us out. You can also find all our past podcast episodes there. They're all there. Lastly, Hayden, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the Grim Reaper killer and Cape May. That's right, the Cape May murders. 5 days before Halloween, retired Chief Police Browning has 2 different mysteries to solve. The first, the reappearance of a woman missing for the last 25 years. That might be Ellen Ripley.
Might be.
She has amnesia. And the second is a killer dressed as the Grim Reaper, killing off Cape May stakeholders. Can Chief Browning figure out how these mysteries are related before becoming the next victim? The Cape May murders are now available on Amazon, BarnesandNobles.com, and at www.ChristopherMichaelBlake.com. Hayden, this I said before we started the commercial break, we were talking about the forums. Apparently, this creature, this alien, did not die in space when Ellen Ripley blew her out of the space lock and speared her with the spear gun. It doesn't need oxygen to breathe, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
It had secreted all that secretion that runs out, and all that got stuck to its body, and that's how that cosmic egg looked like an asteroid or comet kind of formed around it.
Okay, I could buy that.
I cannot, but that's another story.
It's the precise location that they're just like, oh, we're gonna arrive, we're gonna pick it up, and then we're gonna get out of here. That's what's really curious to me. And the thing is, it's right off the bat. And if that was a little further down the movie and they started with the Jackson Star mining location, I think I would have been a little more like, okay, but that was the first thing we see, and I'm just like, ugh. So we get into. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I have two things to say. And the first is the comment of why, if they were so close to the wreckers in Nostromo, why didn't they just go over to LV-246? Because they had the location. If they knew what happened on board the Nostromo, Weyland-Yutani, right, just travel the extra distance and go find the ship with all the technology and everything else there.
They couldn't have been that far from it when the Nostromo was detonated. It couldn't have been that far.
And we've seen in all these alien movies now, in the Predator alien movies, the hyper-extended version of how long the ingestion takes once the alien, the face hugger, gets into you, especially Alien Covenant. What was it, 10 minutes? The guy's running around with the chest burster coming out.
Yeah.
And here we had the movie. She gets on board the ship, and next thing you know, she's convulsing almost. It's not long, the ingestion period. We've gone from, a couple hours now to, you got basically a half hour before this thing bursts out of your chest.
And that's definitely a problem, because what they're doing is they're essentially like, well, it's not convenient for the plot, so we need to speed this up, even though we know it's supposed to take time, established in the first film.
And the fourth one. That guy who's the mining guy who got kidnapped. He's one of the better actors, and he's been in Seven, and I forget his name. He has the chest burster come out at the end when he holds the general's head to his chest, and it just,
Leland Orser.
Oh, thank you. Good actor.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy his films. He's one of my favorite. When I see him in the 90s and 2000s, it's like, I want to watch this movie because he's in it. He makes quality movies. They're always action-packed. They're not boring. He's not making Shakespeare in the Park. When I see him in these movies, I'm like, okay, we know what the time frame is. You have a couple hours to get to where you need to be at least. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, we got to kind of hurry this up to 15 minutes or less.
Yeah.
You're at the drive-thru at McDonald's, basically.
Yep. They do it because it doesn't fit into the plot otherwise. And I'm not a big fan of that. When they rush it along, I don't like that. I get that they only have a certain amount of time to tell this story, but you could have crafted it a little, better so you don't have to rush that like all these movies seem to do nowadays with this ingestion process of the alien.
I have a second question for you. Do you think they changed the plot? Because I think it would have been more interesting to see what was going on aboard the space station. And without these kids being on there and having to come up to the planet, they're looking for cryotubes so they can take a 9-year journey and go live their lives and be free. Well, if they didn't make movie 4, which is essentially the first 15 minutes of the movie with the station and everything goes to hell, and it's like, oh, we got the space pirates now trying to get off. I get the feeling that would have been a much more interesting movie to make. They didn't because of 4.
I don't disagree. What I will say before I get into that is, the time that we spent when we're introduced to the main characters of this story, the Jackson Star mining colony, where we meet Rain and we meet Andy and Tyler, Bjorn, Kay, and Navarro. We meet them all. I liked that. I thought that was good. You're establishing the characters. That whole sequence on Jackson Star is well done, and they really established kind of like, okay, this place it's a shitty place. It's the company's screwing them over. They're ready to think they've worked their up to their limit, and they're free to go. Company tax on years. You're going to be here 6 more years. Sorry. And you see how hard they have it. Their families have died in the mines, and we get a very interesting character in Andy. And he's, a rundown android that Rain's father sort of, picked up and tried to bring back. And, you see he's very glitchy. He almost stammers through things. He's like a child in some respects. And the thing about the androids is they're always faced with some sort of, people that, treat them poorly in every film. Once they realize they're androids, they're sort of like persona non grata. And Andy takes it in stride, as they do. Otherwise, it would escalate the scenario. But Andy is very much like a child, and Rain considers him a brother. I thought that relationship was very interesting. Now, to your point with the space station, I agree. I think that if we got the station as a movie first, and then we got this as a sequel to that, I think that would have worked really well as a kind of reboot to the series almost, which is almost what this one feels like. It feels like we're introduced to the characters. It's almost, like you have Aliens, and now you have Alien for 2024, and we're hoping to catch on new fans, and we'll see if we can, continue this series. Now the movie's made money, made back its budget. Maybe we see what else happens. We'll talk about that. But I did like these characters. You really kind of get the gist of it. You can raise your eyebrow about how, okay, well, they take the ship right up and nobody stops them going to the station. Yeah, that's when we saw it, I was like, nobody's going to chime in. Nobody's going to stop them. They're just going to fly right up to the station, because the company is running the mining corporation, and that station is also company property. I don't know. What is the time frame that station fell into ruin? I'm not really sure. It just seemed a little odd. But then you could also consider that maybe they wanted people to go up there so they can get the ship or get the alien, and the company does the company thing and tries to get it. Maybe they wanted something like that to happen. I don't know. It's hard to speculate and figure that out. But once we get off Jackson Star, what are your thoughts at this point when they get to the station?
So to chime back in, I think that Andy was the actor who played him did a very good job.
David Johnson, yes.
I thought this girl Rain was very annoying. I just was like, why am I watching this with her in it? I don't need this. Another, I'm going to be a hero type female character. I didn't, Jackson Star, the space station. My favorite part of it was the return of, was it Ian Holm?
Ian Holm.
The android. Just a great throwback character. Like I said, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this entire thing. A lot of the dialogues from the original two movies. When they're sitting there, again, I'm giving things away that are in the movie, but when they go into the cryo lab and they're sitting there and they're trying to, all right, well, we have to bring the temperature up so we can get this stuff out of here. And all those face huggers start kind of coming down. It's like, oh, here we go. And you start jumping around when they start getting in the water, but they're taking those things off very easy somewhat. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna fling this thing off my face, and it's like no problem. And Andy's catching them all of a sudden, and that got a little bit far-fetched. The end of the second act into the third, really, where it kind of started getting a little annoying to me. We've seen the alien embryo inside the woman before, where Ellen gave birth to the last monstrosity in 4.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that they'd be able to improve upon that, because that one was terrible too.
The newborn, yeah.
Look, basically the engineer on crack.
Well, that in this one they call it the offspring. Yes, it's an engineer with the alien features.
And that's something else that bothered me too. You had The name for Ian Holmes' android kind of escapes me right now.
Rook.
Oh, Rook. Thank you. Rook is sitting there, and he actually goes through the whole. Oh, this is the whole backstory, and then we have brought this alien queen on board, and and she actually shows them the model for the DNA that David built, going back to Prometheus, and that bothered me.
Yeah, I
it's
didn't like that.
Well, now here we go. They actually know what the model looks like, and they can put this together with synthetics themselves just by injecting this thing and taking the DNA out of this thing. And then it's perfectly modeled like already. It's like, wow, okay. The other part of it was if this thing was so important that you're going to the far reaches of space to go find this thing that's secreted upon itself after all these years, 20 years later, you would think that space station, when they lost contact, we need to get some people up there to go find out what's going on.
See, that's where
right?
but that specific thing is like, we need to know that, right? Like, has it been like 10 hours or has this been months?
They said it was months because it had lost contact and it was floating in the next couple hours into this asteroid belt. They said that. It's heading there. We have to go now if we're going to go. In order to get these cryotubes, we have to go now. Okay, well, that kind of leaves me. These things just don't divert off course all of a sudden. It's like, okay, well, obviously something happened on the spaceship or the space station. Where all the people go? They went down into the basement to the catacombs. Okay, and they're put into the walls like we've seen. They're secreted into the walls like we saw in 2. And the creatures are running down on that bottom level. Well, how come they're on the top level? How come when these 4 people show up, they're not running around by the top level grabbing these people?
Well, I remember from Aliens that they were by the reactor, which I guess was giving off some kind of like a heat signature. And I don't know. Some of that stuff is just, you feel like they discard some of the established things. And it just makes, if you're a fan of the franchise, it makes you raise an eyebrow, right? If you're just a general moviegoer, it's not going to bother you. But I know for you and we're just kind of like, we question these things because we're avid fans of this franchise.
The carnage that was aboard the space station when they first arrived, and when Rook is showing them the queen up in the ceiling, which nobody saw, and they go into the lab rat, and the lab rat's got the tentacles sticking out of it. That's all cool stuff. That's the geek in me, the science fiction geek. I'm like, 2 thumbs up. You hit the nail, the hammer on the nail, that you bring Rook back. I'm there. You got me. When they're walking through, now all of a sudden you start changing lore, and they're almost like predators. Well, they see on only one spectrum of light, and they go off body temperature and sound. Really? We've been through now 7 movies.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've changed this. Now, I'm not saying that because obviously I don't see a pair of eyes on these things, but
yeah, I agree.
When you're cocooned up and you're knocked out, and that face and that face hugger's right in front of you, you're as silent as it gets because you're passed out.
Right.
So how's that thing finding you?
Yeah.
Is it the body's temperature, the heat? It's already hot down by the reactor. It's already hot when you're secreted into there. So that almost makes no sense either for me.
I agree with you. It's a thing that is done out of convenience because we have this cool scene we want to do where they got to run through this room and be real quiet and tiptoe, right? So now it becomes convenient to just say, well, they see based off of heat signature and you know, everybody, again, established fans are kind of like, I don't know about this, but again, a general moviegoer is not going to flinch at that. They're going to be, wow, that was a pretty, tense scene. I agree with you. It's not really what I would have done, but I'm not, the one writing nor directing this film. That scene I did not care for. I agree with you.
Now, when the guy loses, when he drops the keys on the floor, and now she's trying to get out, and because you mentioned they're going to that room and they need everybody to be quiet. They raise the temperature level in that room so they can walk through. And then she gets on the headphones. She's like, I can't find the keys. I can't get out of this room. And you almost knew that was going to happen the minute he dropped the keys from the get-go. It was like almost foreshadowed. It was like kind of convenient that we're going to show you that he's dropping the keys on the floor and not picking them up. but it was still very suspenseful. For me, it was.
Right.
Then she gets down and she starts kind of hiding, and of course she's pregnant. You feel for her. She's sitting there telling you, don't tell anybody that I'm pregnant. I really don't want to be viewed as a.
Now that character Kay, I found her to be the one that went through the absolute ringer in this movie, more so than any other character. And I thought that was interesting because she's kind of like a side character that you just not, she's just kind of there. She's definitely going to get killed, but she's there. Like you described this scene, right? It's tense, and Navarro's got the chest burster, and she's there for that, which is traumatizing for her. And then she's with Bjorn when they find the cocoon on the wall in the ship, and he gets his eye taken out, and then the acid drips. He had a brutal death. The acid drips on. I thought that was a good death. That was cool. It was different. And now she's just running for her life. She's pregnant. She's hiding. The thing is scaring the crap out of her. And then she gets speared, dragged off to the catacombs. And, she just gets put through the ringer through this whole movie without, giving away at the very end what happens to her. I thought that was interesting that, they kept her around as long as they did. But I do have to say the actress that was in that role, I thought she did a good job of just being just scared out of her mind and just through it all. And I thought she was good. That was, what was that actress's name? That was Isabella Merced. I thought she did a really, really good job. I thought she was Rain. I agree with your take on it. It was just kind of like, well, I didn't really get blown away by the performance, but I thought Isabella Merced was really good as being scared out of her mind and just tired, exhausted, and just put through the whole ringer. I thought she was decent.
Can I say something else? You
Sure.
mentioned the alien cocoon. Now here we go. We know that the alien, once it's hatched, the chest burster, comes out and it scatters off. It doesn't take long for it to fully develop. That's one of the benefits of this species genetics, is that it's specifically primed for battle almost an hour from the time it comes out. Now here it is. This is the first time we've seen it develop into cocoon almost. Right? I mean, have we seen this before?
No.
And it kind of reminded me of Species a little bit, where Natasha Hendricks is on the train and she has to put herself up into this cocoon, and then the conductor comes in and it snatches her. And again, H.R. Geiger all over the place because it's the same thing almost.
Yep.
What were your thoughts about the cocoon? Because again, these things have been studied now for 7 movies. We haven't seen this before.
I'm okay with them adding something new to the cycle. Now, Ridley Scott did this in Prometheus all over the place, which broke so much of the lore. And this, I was okay with it. I thought it was interesting and creepy, and it fit the aesthetic of the H.R. Giger, and I thought it was okay. I'm okay with them adding some things like this. I was okay with. I'm not okay with the heat sensing. I thought that was not really into that. But the cocoon, I did not mind. Now its purpose, I don't really know, because we've seen all along that they haven't done this. But okay, if you're going to give me something different, I didn't hate it as much as I hated, like the some of the stuff from Prometheus, that we got with the goo and the vases, and that was just absurd. This was I could live with it. It was different, but it didn't ruin it for me. Yeah, I know. I think you have a different opinion on me.
No. I want to talk about the third act of this movie, the last act.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned the engineer monster child, but I want to talk about the goo that Rook basically gave her. Say, hey, if you want to take this, Andy gave her and said, if you want to take this, if you want to live, basically. Right. And she's telling him, don't take it, and of course she doesn't listen. She takes it anyway. And you know what's going to happen because we've seen this before.
Yep.
Going back to Alien Covenant and Alien Prometheus, rather. And we saw what happened to Shaw with the monster coming out of Shaw at the point where the pregnancy. Does Andy take the rest of that goo? And didn't he put it into the cryogenics to save it? I mean, that's why, because it was more than one tube. I mean, there was a whole bunch of tubes left.
Right. There were 5 total tubes.
And what happened to them, right?
Device. So
I thought he put them in there, didn't he?
I don't recall. That's a good question. I don't recall. But the other question too in that scene is we're assuming. I mean, they Rain goes and on her sign off and she says last survivor, right? But Kay's body is still there in the ship, and she gave birth to the offspring, and it killed her apparently. With it, we didn't really see what it did to her. He's just holding her and she's like a lifeless body, but she's still there. Is she still infected? Is there something else that's going to occur there? I don't know. I mean, they leave it kind of open, but it's a good question you have. They had all those syringes with the substance in them, and they were still there. They brought them with them. Kay brought them and put them in the ship. So if they're not in cryo, they're still on that ship somewhere. But you're right. I don't remember if they put them in the cryotube or not. That's a good question.
So I thought he did. Now, my overall opinion of the third act, the minute that space engineer child monster starts terrorizing the ship and they're starting to fly into the asteroid belt, and Rook's like, hit the button, get out of here, we can save you still. And that's where the movie just nosedived for me. I could get past the repeated verbiage of get away from her, you bitch. I can get away from all that. I could live with all that stuff because of nice Easter eggs they have.
Right.
It brings you back to the feeling of the first 2 movies and the sense that, hey, all this stuff's still kind of connected. But I get to that third act and I'm just like, they're flying around in space meteors and asteroid belts and all this trash. Oh, but everything's going to be okay. And the spaceship's still going to be able to fly. And she can get a cracked visor and, it's okay. And there's not going to be any problems. And I'm just like,
yeah,
it kind of totally lost it on me.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I was not a fan of the third act at all. And I remember when we talked outside of the theater after we saw this, I had said, of all the things that they lift from some of the other movies, they go full resurrection with the final kind of scene. And I was like, of all the things you could have lifted, you took the newborns from resurrection, you made them the offspring, and it just made it, instead of making it like a Xeno kind of skeleton thing, you made it a engineer alien.
A badly done engineer. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is, I don't know if you saw the practical version of that actor, that Bob Bobrovsky, whatever.
No, I did not.
In the suit, practical, with the actress for Rain and the director. And I have to say, the practical effect looked unsettling and creepy. And I feel like in what we got in the film was very much more, they touched up with like CGI, and I didn't think it fit. But if you find it, and if I could find it, I'll send it to you. You take a look at it. It looked creepy because this guy's huge. This guy's huge compared to the actress who's, very tiny. And it looked so creepy because it's all practical. And I was like, why didn't they just do that? I don't know. It didn't do it for me, that last act. I didn't care for it. And I think it's another scenario, right? Where, fans of the franchise are going to kind of wince a little bit at it. General movie goers may feel differently. They may have felt that third act was terrifying. I don't know. I can't speak for that. I could just say that it was not for me. I didn't care for it. I didn't like that they ended it like that. But that's what we got.
So now I have to ask, where does this rank in all the Alien movies, including the Alien vs. Predator movies? I mean, I think we'd agree those are the worst, right?
The first one's actually better than Prometheus, but
I actually like the second Alien VP movie with the hospital.
Really? I hate that one.
It's so nihilistic.
Hmm.
And that appeals to me a lot because that's what it would take to basically get rid of them, is to drop a bomb like that.
Right. Yeah.
You would have to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, look, when that alien goes into that hospital and it's the baby ward.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the mothers are in there and they're all, and you want somebody to come in and save them because this is a movie and we want to make sure nobody dies. We're kids. And it ain't the way it's playing out today. And that's realistic. And that's what I want to see. And AVP, the first one, was like so sped through. It was just, we got aliens here at the beginning of time, and they're going to put a pyramid up. And, you know, I wrote a book about pyramids, so I can't say too much. But, you know, we're going to have them down in the South Pole, and, you know, predators down there, and they're hunting for sport down there.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the whole backstory for this is just suddenly just, you know.
I'm going to put it, let me see. It might fall number 6.
Really?
For me. Because I got Aliens, Covenant. I like Covenant. AVP, Prometheus, then Romulus, then 3, and then AVP, 4. Requiem.
What about 4?
I forgot Resurrection. I'll put Resurrection after 3.
Wow. Okay. So you think this was better than 3 and 4?
Yeah.
Really? I did not feel that way. I thought that Aliens is probably the more superior of all the movies, just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Then probably Alien. I still like 3 and 4. I liked Prometheus. Then I would probably go Romulus. And then after that, we're going to go. The last one I think is probably AVP and probably Covenant. So somewhere in there like that.
It gets murky when you get past like Alien and Aliens. I feel like it's a crapshoot after those two. Whether you put them 1 or 2, however you have them, it's really. See, that's what's interesting because there has not been a movie to the quality of those two. Right? None of them reach it. None of them do. Though it's like those two, and then there's everything else, and kind of it's subjective at that point, you know. Because ours, like you compare ours right there, they're all over the place, you know.
Well, I mean, Alien 3 really kind of robbed you of seeing, you know, Hicks's death and Newt's death. You know, they've really kind of robbed the audience of those characters just walking into the theater, like, oh yeah, by the way, they're dead. It's like what? You know, you invested so much into them with Aliens, then that happens, and it's like. And you get to the theater not wanting to know what happens with them, and it starts off with that, and it's like, really?
That for me was my initial with that movie. Now, I've rewatched that thing many a time, and I still hate it because it's just you have to be in a mind frame to watch that film. It's dark, it's nihilistic, it's like a nightmare. It's just really bleak, and there's nothing really that comes out of it that is like, you know, joy. Like it's just all bleak. And I just, it's such a slog to sit through. And I love David Fincher movies, but that one for me, it's just, even if you look at like the William Gibson script for that, where it was like a monastery and like this wooden planet, I still think that sucks, right? Like it's just stupid. But people are like, "Oh yeah, this would have been really good." I was like, none of the ideas they had for this movie would have worked, and what we got was probably the best thing that they could have done. In all honesty, when you look back on it, is you've killed basically everything in this to set, you know, just close the book. It was probably the best thing for it. Resurrection, I don't know.
It was just fun. Resurrection was just fun. Dan Hedaya throwing the grenade and watching the grenade spin around. Look, that's is it impossible? Yeah, is it great to watch? Then you got Brad Dourif as the scientist. He's all excited that he's going to get impregnated and die. And it's like, oh, what's going to happen? I can't wait. You know, it's like
what I will say
Ron
about
Perlman, and you got the crackhead who was on CIS Las Vegas, and he's with the 2-shooters, and you got the guy in the wheelchair. And
what I'll say about
was the most annoying character, but it's still fun to watch.
What I will say about that movie is it's Joss Whedon. So this is earlier Joss Whedon, but it's you can see the groundwork he laid in Resurrection, right? And the crew and the banter and the dialogue, which was good when you meet the crew and you kind of get the relationships they have with each other. And you kind of see that, like, he took some of that and he was like, when he made Firefly, I don't know, have you watched Firefly at all?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
No, Firefly is a great show. And the movie, or
I saw the movie. I didn't see the show. Yeah.
Right. The movie was good. The movie was good too. And, it really, he did such a good job with the crew of that ship and the relationships that they had with each other. With John was just the muscle guy who just has a bad attitude, but he's got great one-liners. And the Reese, who was the mechanic, but he's handicapped, and he's got the wheelchair, but he's got the gun in the wheelchair. And there's a lot of interesting things in that movie. It's very light on tone. I agree. It is more kind of a fun movie, but it just doesn't work as an Alien movie for me. I don't get the terror. I don't feel any of that in that film.
No, there's none. No, there's none.
It's just, you get a lot of one-liners. You get some fun action scenes in that thing.
The spider,
yeah, he shoots the spider. I always remember that. Like,
but we're getting off topic. But
we are.
I have a final thought. Do you want to see a sequel with Rain and Andy?
I do.
Really? Okay.
I do. I find Andy a very interesting character in the same way that they kind of made David this, character that just goes off the rails and completely evil. I find Andy very interesting, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of that character at all. Rain, I could give or take, but she's going to be part of that one way or another. But I really thought Andy's character was very interesting take on a synthetic in this franchise. Now, have you seen, real quick, Noah Hawley is doing a Alien Earth series for FX coming next year. Okay. And it's supposed to take place before the original film. Something just, to get interested in it.
I've read the comic book Earth War from Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, way back in the day, yes.
And those are just great.
They are.
Yeah, whether it's the aliens or the predators, Dark Horse had it going on in the 90s. Yeah. For me, I think a much better ending for Alien Romulus would have been maybe David was still working for Weyland-Yutani, and that memory wasn't quite wiped the way that Rain had thought it was. And he kind of offs her, and then, or maybe loads her body up with those syringes, and then cryo freezes her and delivers her right to Weyland-Yutani. And that would have been a better ending for me. And you see that he's still a bad guy.
Yeah.
But would that have fitted with Andy's personality and the whole? No, probably not. But for me, that would have made a better ending. It's not all happy, or we're going to take a 9-year journey on Gilligan's Island here. And
that was that was the Covenant ending, right?
I don't need to. It was even the Prometheus ending almost with Shaw. We're going to take this trip up.
Well, they had a little. The Prometheus ending was a little more hopeful. The Covenant ending was bleak.
How'd that work out for Shaw?
But that was Covenant, right?
David basically did a Hannibal Lecter to her. I mean, it was kind of.
She put him back together. She shouldn't have done any of that.
Well,
but she trusted him. She put him back together, and she got turned into.
She got snookered. You get snookered sometimes.
Before we close out on this, I do want to say one more thing about David Johnson's performance as Andy.
Yeah.
When they switch the chip and they put the Rook chip in, and he goes full on, just, he's not even going to consider anything about Rain anymore. His directive has changed, and he's just no nonsense. You know, he does a very good job of portraying both the Andy character and the Andy with the Rook chip. And I thought he was very good in this movie.
I can't disagree with that. Very good actor.
Yeah, I've never seen anything with him in it, but I'd be curious to see some other movies with him.
Yeah, Rain I could do without again, but
yeah.
So we went through. Would you want to see a sequel and everything else? Okay. Final thoughts. Go see Alien Romulus or not, Hayden?
Go see it.
Go see it.
Go see it.
I agree. There's some, despite my misgivings and telling you how much I didn't like about the movie, there were parts that I did. There was a lot of jump scares. The gore's there for sure. Mm-hmm. The cringe parts are there. Not all of it's perfect for everything that you get, but there's enough there to, hey, I still had a good time at the movie theater. It wasn't a bad day. Yeah, I had a good time.
I'm happy it's doing well too, because that bodes well for the franchise.
Right. Hayden, we were talking about box office last 2 weeks ago, and I got to tell you, I think I had you on the ropes. There was almost a new champ, and you got out of it by DQ.
Did I really?
You got out by a technicality this week.
Uh-oh. And
the technicality is you got to believe, because no matter how much I dug online, I could not find the box office totals for this. I don't know if it only released out in one theater out in Texas, but it officially had the release date in August 30th. So I think my 1.5 estimate versus your 5 million estimate was safe. I think I won that one. We went 2 for 2. Aside from that, I think I had you. It was like you hit me with the chair and then lay down yourself. It was like, oh yeah. So you're still the champ.
Oh,
but not by much.
It was a tight one.
We're gonna start off here, Hayden. We're gonna talk about The Crow. And I won that one. You guessed 15 million. I guessed 11. The actual retail number was 4.5. Nobody went to go see this. Basically, it's a video on streaming next week.
Was that worse than Borderlands?
Yes, Borderlands at 8.8. But the Borderlands had a much bigger budget, though, I believe. So the fallout from Borderlands is going to be tremendous. Crow. You know, you'll find both of them probably in a retail pack at Walmart next week.
There you go.
The other one that was overestimated by both of us was the movie Slingshot. You guessed 3 million. You won this one, by the way. I guessed 4 million. The actual retail number. Talk about where we're at in society with this number. Take a guess what it did. I'm telling you, it didn't make 3 or 4.
1.5.
How about just a half? 500K, and that's being generous, by the way. It's like actually 480 something. Okay,
that's rough.
And it wasn't like a limited. I mean, what's a normal release? Like 1,500 theaters?
Sure. Yeah, that's a
safe number, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't about half that, so it was 845 theaters. So it wasn't like it was not released wide. It was at least released half wide.
Wow.
So you're telling me that Lawrence Fishburne and Casey Affleck and Frenchie can't get at least, I don't know, at $20 a ticket?
I mean, they probably just, the marketing budget.
What's the math on that? It's like
marketing budget for it was probably just they didn't have anything. Because I said, the only time I've ever seen anything with this was when we watched the trailer for it last time. And the trailer looked interesting. Yeah, it's too bad.
You couldn't find look, they don't have 25,000 friends between the three of them to come see this thing. That's what it is. 25,000 friends at $20 a ticket.
That's fair.
And Hayden, we got it wrong once again. And I won this one because I outgrossed you by $1. This was the Price is Right one we were talking about. We talked about Reagan. You guessed 2 million and I guessed 2.1. We were both way off.
Wow.
It had a huge opening weekend.
What was it?
7.5 million.
That's interesting.
$25 million budget.
That's interesting.
That tells me that Dennis Quaid had at least 50,000 friends willing to shell out $20 a pop.
He's got more friends.
That's what it is. He got a lot of Facebook friends, I think. Yeah. The last one that you got right and I got wrong was Blink Twice. I saw this movie. It garnered $7.3 million on a $20 million budget. You guessed 15. I guessed 21. We're both wrong, but you were closer. So you retained your title. You went we went both 2 for 2, but that you got to believe. I think I won it, but it's like unless I walk away with the belt. Unless I walk away with the belt, it didn't happen.
We could say that there was a disqualification, and we'll have to have a rematch.
Next week. I got 4 movies coming up, but I want to talk about Blink Twice real quick.
Yeah.
I went and saw this in the theater, and the first half of the movie is very lackadaisical. It's nothing much happening. The end of the movie, though, was very, very interesting. And I have to give Zoe Kravitz, who directed and wrote, and she got her husband to star in the movie. Channing Tatum, this is a role I haven't seen him in previously, where he plays a villain almost. Mm-hmm. Christian Slater is fun to watch in the movie, and Haley Joel Osment's in the movie. It's fun to watch them. The tone of the movie, they put a trigger warning up for the theaters before the movie starts.
I hate those.
You know what? I was going to ask you your opinion on it, and I'm sitting here because I kind of agree with you. You don't go to the movie.
Don't tell me. I want to be scared. I want to feel it in the moment.
And I have to tell you, Zoe Kravitz, though, she did an amazing job for a first-time director. The script, the end of I'll tell you what happened. I didn't see coming. So that totally blew me away. I really enjoyed it, the movie. So if you get the opportunity, check out Blink Twice. First half of the movie is a little bit of a sleeper. I'm not going to make things up. But it all connects at the end. And you'll see stuff that happened. And then she brings it all back up again. Very well done. I got to give Zoe Kravitz a lot of credit. That being said, we have 4 movies coming up in the next 2 weeks. But before we go ahead and do that, I want to announce our next podcast is September 16th. Is that when it is? That Wednesday?
I thought, what is the Wednesday? Is the 17th?
It's the 17th. We're going to have Robert Adewato on. He's the author of
the 18th.
The 18th. I know. Hey, look, you win again. The Quill Fang series. And he also runs the Writer's Realm podcast. He's the co-host for that. He'll be on our show. We're going to be talking about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I just watched it again today. I don't want to give anything away in case you haven't seen it, but man,
it's a good movie.
We talked about another movie of that guy's earlier this year. I'll get into it.
Shane Black, yeah.
And this was the complete opposite reaction I had from that last movie. But this week here, we're talking about 4 movies. We're going to start off with the most popular one, and that is, don't say his name 3 times.
Beetlejuice. Mm-hmm.
Candyman. Hey, this is going to be the big movie of the next 2 weeks, obviously.
Yes.
What is your projection for what this movie is going to do this weekend?
It opens this Friday, correct?
Tonight, probably, yeah. But yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it's a big opening weekend for this thing. It doesn't feel like a movie that, people are like, oh, it's, 2024. I can't wait for the Beetlejuice sequel. It doesn't feel like that, but I think it's going to do well this weekend. I'm going to give it 65.
I'm going to be that guy, Hayden.
66.
Yes, I am. And the only reason I say that is because you've been beating me up too much, and I gotta come back and be a prick. You're absolutely right, though. I'm not hearing a lot of fan audience saying I have to go see this. It doesn't have that same feel like Deadpool Wolverine did.
No, yeah.
Even Alien Romulus, I think, had a lot more people, in my opinion, who wanted to go see this. But that will not deter people from going to go see Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton, it's a household name. Tim Burton, they love him.
And what was the last thing Tim Burton did in the theaters? Has it been a while? No?
Wasn't Willy Wonka, was it?
Oh, I don't know.
I got to think it was something after Willy Wonka, I hope.
Let me check this out. I'm genuinely curious what the last theatrical release thing that he had. Because, it's not like we get Tim Burton movies.
No.
Dumbo, 2019.
My wife and my daughter love the movie.
So
I refuse to watch it, but yeah.
It's been 5 years, and I feel like this is a much bigger release because it's a character. Michael Keaton is so good as Beetlejuice in the first movie, and you're returning Winona Ryder. You're returning who was the mother? Catherine O'Hara.
Well, you couldn't return the husband because he was a pedophile.
He's a pedophile, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm gonna rush out to go see this movie,
I'll
but
probably go next weekend. Yeah.
I think it's gonna do well.
Hayden, I want to talk about the next movie. They've been playing the trailer for this every time I go to the movie, no matter what it is, even if it's a kid's movie, they're playing this trailer. You know what the movie is? It's the James McAvoy movie, Speak No Evil.
Speak No Evil.
Where he's playing it. Him and his wife basically are playing it. What is that movie with the vacation with Mila Jovovich and Sean Astin? Where it wasn't Sean Astin, it was somebody else. They're running around pretending they're somebody. Yeah, and it feels like this kind of movie basically.
Yeah, this is actually a remake of a Danish film.
Oh, really?
Yes, from 2022. So they were quick to remake it. They must love the movie so much. I got to be honest. I'm sick of seeing the preview for it. It's actually turned me off to actually even wanting to see this movie. I've seen so much of this preview. Will people go see it? Yes, I think they will. People like.
I don't think it'll be as many people as you think, though.
No,
this has a feeling of like an M. Night Shyamalan type movie, right?
No, I don't get that too much.
I get that feeling a little bit.
I get I don't know. Like the thing that hits me the most is like, you're right. Every time you sit down for a preview, you're at the theater, this movie comes up. And, the reaction I had from it is like, I don't want to see this. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that could be interesting. But then you see it 10 other times and you're like, all right, no, I'm not interested.
I'll give you the number first if you want.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
My initial feeling when it was 15, but I think that might be high.
I was going to say 12.
I was going to say 11. So if you want to go 12, I'll go 11.
Yeah, I'll go 12.
The reason I say that is it could have a strong opening weekend and then tank. Streaming the next week, basically 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So we good with that number? You go 12?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, and I'll go. So you one up me on that one. The next movie is the Bautista movie. It feels like a remake of a remake of a remake. Because all of his movies look the same.
Yes.
It's called The Killer's Game. And you talk about a movie where I guess Ben Kingsley is just collecting paychecks at this point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go first. Yeah. Oh yeah. Train wreck incoming.
Like a piece of trash.
Bullet Train 2.
This is a movie that wishes it was Bullet Train. This thing looks terrible. Now you have Bautista, you have the actress who played Mantis. What's her name? Pom Klementif. She's in it. Now, I don't know if anybody's really interested in seeing those two characters or those two actors together, not as their Marvel roles. I know I'm not. You have Drew McIntyre, the wrestler, in here from WWE. It looks like a direct to DVD film.
It looks like something might be on Netflix next week.
It looks like you're right. It looks like a Netflix movie that releases and is forgotten, and then no.
Army of the Dead 3. Yeah, why did they just make that movie instead?
I would watch Army of the Dead. I like that movie.
I liked both those movies.
Yeah, this
Even
is
the one with the thief. I liked. I thought that was
yes. Army of Thieves. That was decent too. Man, I don't know. This thing is going to be so low. I'm going to go with 3.
Oh, that's a pretty.
I don't think Bautista's a big enough name. I feel like he's good in movies where he's a supporting actor. He doesn't carry a movie,
and not with all the weight he's lost. He doesn't look like the same person.
Yes, he's dropped a lot of.
Don't get me wrong, though. He's old. I mean, if I told you he's him and Cena are both in their late 50s at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit there and look at Cena, and you're like, he's still a peacemaker. He's still dyeing his hair. He doesn't want kids. And it's like,
yeah.
I hope when you're 65 years old and you still think you're running around like this, Yeah. So you said 3.5. I don't disagree with anything that you said, but I will think lower. I hate to say that.
I believe it.
I'm going to say 2.1. And I know I kind of dug myself into a hole there with that one, but
No,
Hayden, I want you to
fair.
pull this next trailer up because I don't think you've seen it.
Oh, okay.
And the name of the movie is The Front Room. Have you seen this trailer?
Front Room. It does not ring a bell.
It's the Brandy movie, where the synopsis of the movie is Brandy and her husband are getting ready to have a baby when they move his grandmother in. And, of course, she's a Nazi descended from Satan. You can't make this stuff up.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and if you could just play that trailer for our guests at home, because I'm just interested in your take on this. I have a take on it, and
Let me pull this thing up real quick.
I know I kind of sprung that one on you.
No, that's all right. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it up.
Make sure you put your Viagra in then.
All right, here we go. We ready?
Look, I've been born ready. See the Nazi grandmother who's descended from Satan.
No, I will have
Babe, my dad is dead.
Your father's final request was he wants you to take your mother into your home.
I'm willing to give you all the money I got. We can pay off the house with that money.
Everything in me is telling me to run away.
Welcome home, Solange.
Oh, what's in there?
Yeah, that's the nursery.
It's my room now. I realize I do not know my granddaughter's name.
We're gonna name her Fern.
Not a plant you got growing in there? No. Used to be parents understood names gotta have power. Your father, what was his name?
I didn't know him really well.
Call that a broken family.
What the hell?
She thinks that the Holy Spirit possesses her and gives her power.
I can't practice my face. Not like I used to.
You're a racist.
You don't know what real racism is.
You're gonna tell me?
Have I offended you?
Holy shit. Your stepmother is literally evil.
Do you fear the Lord?
No.
Fear me.
She said that you hit her.
She wants you to think it was me. She wants to replace me. I am her mother.
Oh, no.
Make it a
yeah.
fight?
Hey. Oh, no, yeah.
This is my house. Being cooped up with a newborn and a mother-in-law can drive anyone crazy.
Help me, Belinda.
My name is Belinda. Belinda.
Don't run out of the house. Keep telling her your name. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh my God.
So look, I couldn't make up the plot any worse than I just told you, right?
No.
But look, it does at least look interesting, more so than some of the movies that have been out. Like that movie looks more interesting than Speak No Evil. I hate to say that. It does.
Oh, 100%.
More
And
interesting
Killer's
than the Killer
Game.
Game. Oh, look,
Easily.
without a doubt, yes.
Easily.
I would go see that over Reagan. I mean,
Right, yeah.
Oh, I mean, The Crow, absolutely. I'd rather, because at least it's a new take on things. But this is the way it would work in real life. Oh, your mother's Satan pretending to be the Holy Spirit, plus she's a racist Nazi. I think we're going to get a divorce. I'm going to throw you and your mother out of my house because I'm taking the house in the divorce.
Yes.
And then on top of that, you're going to pay child support for the next 21 years.
There you go.
And support and alimony. That's
Enjoy.
the front room too. This is where now you would sleep in the alleyway on assisted living.
Oh God, the scene where they're like
I'm gonna
squaring
send
up,
child
like they're gonna
support
fight.
enforcement. Well, look, and then she's straight. She's taking the pillow and putting it over her.
She sticks a header into the coffee table.
And then the grandmother sticking her tongue out. She's like,
Oh
So,
man,
again, it looks fun, but again, you're going against
Right.
Beetlejuice.
right? Yeah,
How many people are going to go see this? I had
Well,
not even heard of the movie till last week.
I don't think it's going to get a very high amount. However, I think people will be curious to see Brandy because what has she been in? What has Brandy been up to?
Nothing. I haven't seen her in
Right.
any
So
movie.
so we got Brandy showing back up. There's a little curiosity factor there for people in our generation, I think. I don't even know what kind of release this thing is getting, but
It's a wide release.
it is a wide release. All right, I'm going to give it 4.
I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I gotta go. I'll go 6.
Okay.
Now, Hayden, we have to again just promote that September 18th. It's gonna be a Wednesday, not a Thursday, for our next podcast. We're gonna be reviewing Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Talented author from Coil and Fang series, Robert Adewato, is gonna be here talking to us. Do you have any parting words before we close for the night?
Thank you for spending the time with us. Go see Alien Romulus. Check out Crimson Harvest Indiegogo. That'll be in our socials. Also be on Christopher Michael Blake's socials. Stick around. We're going to be back shortly with funny news stories. And we hope you had a good time listening to us. So we'll catch you in just a few.
Hayden, just remember one thing. Don't have your mother-in-law move into the house.
It's fair.
Avoid it at all costs. That's worse than Alien Romulus. You can't. Yeah.
With that, funny and weird news stories are up next. We'll see you soon.